All right, we begin with a look at roads across New York as a storm system is exiting up into New Hampshire and Maine, bringing bands of very heavy snow and travel trickery to the northeastern United States. But the impacts are well beyond these areas as we head into the next 24 hours and even into next week. Wild weather continues across the nation. Hello, everybody. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. We're going to talk about a winter storm and possible blizzard in the northern plains. We're also going to have details on what we're seeing on both coasts, the west and east, and right in the middle of the sandwich. Wow. Who likes to dive into that? I'll tell you who, me. We're going to have a risk for severe weather. I've been talking about this on Hutch's Weather over the last few days. Let's keep you ahead of the storm as we'll have some significant impacts, and it all starts right now. We're going to take a look right the radar as we see the national impacts. First and foremost, we're going to dive right in to what we're seeing across the nation right now. We have snow developing in the Dakotas. This is the precursor to the main event for them, while an exiting storm system brings very heavy snow, as you started out seeing in places in New York. Now on the west coast, we're just seeing entry and landfall of the low pressure system that will be responsible for what could be a crippling blizzard that impacts travel in the air nationwide and has impacts in the northern plains and beyond. We'll have details on all of that. Kathy joining on from Grafton, and yes, a lot of content there. Thank you so very much for joining me. I'm going to say hi in this, and thanks so much for joining. And drop me a note where you from. So hi, and let me know. I'm typing while I do this. Where you are watching from. Thanks for watching, and let's get to it. Right now, we're going to begin with the forecast, and we're going to take a national look, and then we're going to dive into each of these areas in this order. We're looking at the Northeast happening right now. We'll get you caught up to the very latest. We're looking out to the West Coast, where in the Sierra Nevada, ridiculous snow is heading towards western parts of California, and now warnings for elevated terrain in Southern California as well. And the main event in the Northern Plains is going to take hold as we begin late Saturday night. At last, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We could have some areas that have snow, light, moderate, and then heavy at times with wind gusts over 45 miles per hour with what could be blizzard conditions for some and feet of snow in the northern plains as well. And this system making its way through the northern plains will impact the central plains with severe weather. We're going over all of it now. Let's take a look at one model, and this model here is the European model. Let's take a look at what this model has for our forecast, and we're looking at the national view now. Remember, we'll dive in deep. Tim watching from Fargo, thanks for joining. Faye joining from Cormorant, that's in Minnesota for all of you. And now someone's in Florida. Oh no, don't know if we'll get home from Florida, Rebecca says. Ooh, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Yeah, we got some wild weather heading to the Big Bay, and South Fargo joining in as well, Park Rapids. Thanks for joining. I love having all of you on board. If you think of a question, let me know. I'll do my goodest, my most bestest to highlight the activity. Across the nation, East Coast, showers of rain and thunder and exiting snow will continue throughout the day, and it is outy. It is gone, heading into Newfoundland and areas of the North Atlantic as we head into the night hours tonight. This snapshot, 1 a.m. on your Sunday morning. Here's the main event beginning in the, Rocky Mountains, as the snow out in the West Coast will really spread into the southern Rockies, southern Sierra Nevada, and even in the mountains in Southern California. We'll have snow developing in Montana, Idaho, and western Wyoming as well. And watch where this system goes. Boom! There's your snowstorm beginning Sunday morning in the northern plains. Look at the Dakotas. Look at Minnesota. Look at northern Iowa. These areas will pick up abundant snow, and watch how long it lasts. Now, all of these black lines are isobars, and they show us that wind is going to be ripping out of the south, bringing moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, slopping it up north. We're going to have a band of ice primarily in South Dakota, Iowa, and southern Minnesota with this system that could bring some tricky travel. And we'll have snow in Minnesota, and watch what happens as this puppy drives north. Bing, bing, dang. Yeah, it switches from snow and heavy snow to, rain. That's going to make a slushy mess. So it starts on Sunday in the very early morning hours through most of the Dakotas, and it lasts all the way into here's Monday, here's Tuesday, and finally by the time we get to, Tuesday night and Wednesday, That system is exiting. Now, look what's going on in the plains, lest we forget. We're going to have a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms with all modes of severe weather in the Central Plains. So from Kansas City, Missouri, down into the heart of Texas, we're expecting some stout thunderstorms. These will march into Arkansas, Missouri, the Boot Hill, not out of the question. Remember, this time of the year, we have cold air rolling off the Rockies, mingling with this heating up air and humid air in the Central Plains. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that risk as well. I'll have an update on that. Now, there's another system coming as we head toward the Holy Weekend as we celebrate Easter. There'll be a shot for some inclement weather here and there, mainly as we head into Easter Sunday in the west. We'll keep you posted on that. That's way far out. Now let's focus on specific regions. Let's go first to our friends in the Northeast United States. And for that, we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of a higher resolution model. So let's go ahead to the region Northeast. Here we go. And this is your map and your forecast. Now, I do want to pull up a high resolution model real quickly. We'll go to this model here. I like the way it has handled many systems here in the plains and Northeast. So our snow now should be exiting by the time we get to the evening hours. How much snow are we expecting? Well, we have lofty snow totals. I'll show you those snow totals later. Lynn, good to have you on here from northern Wisconsin, ready and waiting for a snowstorm. You have had a lack of snow you shared with me the last time we talked. Thanks so much for your contribution there. Here is a look at the snowfall potential as we go through the area of northern Maine, northern parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, seeing anywhere from 8 to 18 inches of snow. Elevated terrain could see even more than that as this thing exits now. The heaviest of the snow on the radar is moving through there right now. So that's what we're looking at for the northeastern United States. That's one look at your area. Now, how about the Sierra Nevada? Shall we go there? Yep, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right now. Notice, snow beginning now is taking place in the Sierra Nevada. Winter storm warnings in these areas. Now, as you look at Reno and Truckee, these areas will be picking up snow. Here's Saturday night, and we have healthy snow amounts by Saturday evening across most of the Sierra Nevada and the northern mountains in California. But watch what happens here as we advance this through. Even some, purple colors here indicating very heavy snow in the mountains in Southern California, picking up upwards of 6 inches to a foot of snow. As we get into that Truckee Pass area, it looks ridiculous. Another 2-3 feet of snow. National Weather Service lists 4 feet of snow possible in the Sierra Nevada. Oofta. Now, what about the timing on this for you? Let me do a quick update on that so you can see the future radar from tonight on. So here it goes. Snow developing there with wet weather making its way onshore, and it just continues to evolve as we go through. So snow ending as we go into the day on Sunday, and for some areas into Monday. Now, moving on from the Sierra Nevada to the Northern Plains. This is Hutch's home turf here. If you're watching from the Northern Plains, hi, Joel. Cool, says Fargo's going to get a lot of snow, I heard. You got that right. Here's what we're looking at. This model here showing what many models on the larger scale have shown for the last few days. Snow begins as we head our way into the day on Sunday morning. So it's shutdown snow with wind from the east that will be ripping at 30 to 45 miles per hour. By the time we get to Sunday, this is about the 2 in the afternoon time frame. This is about noon to 1 o'clock, and we're talking about it expanding into much of Minnesota and Iowa, and there it changes over to rain at times. Now, we could get some lulls in the snow. It's not going to snow all time, every hour for 2.5 days, but some will see very heavy snow persisting. So there's a little break while the low pressure system moves northward into Minnesota and parks there. So you're looking at Sunday night, midnight. So from Sunday morning, the snow begins in earnest, the wind begins blowing, and here comes the main event. As we go Sunday night into Monday morning, many will wake up to several inches of snow, and some will already have close to a foot of snow, and that's where this model cuts off. So as we take a look at this model, in fact, let's go ahead and pull up a Canadian model here. I like the way the Canadian model has really handled this storm system over the last couple of days. This one going out all the way through the end of the event. How much snow are we talking about up here in the Northern Plains? Let me show you. Get the shovels ready, wax the shovels, gas up the snow blowers. And you know what? For many of you who haven't had a chance to use the snow machines, yeah, I'm talking about snowmobiles, folks. Look at this. South Dakota, bullseye. Southern parts of North Dakota, anywhere south of Interstate 94, bullseye. We're talking a great chance of 6 to 12 inches. Don't pay too much attention to these numbers, by the way. Hutch says that it's one of those things with these type of graphics and models that show that it's going to be a little more widespread than what we're going to see because it's a higher gap or what should I say, grid on this model than some of the higher resolution models. But that said, there'll be a shot at 18 or more inches, maybe 2 feet of snow in parts of South Dakota, eastern South Dakota, southeasternmost North Dakota, and southern and central Minnesota as well. Remember, it changes to rain in far southern Minnesota. That'll cut off your snowfall potential, but that don't mean it's going to cut off the yuck potential from this particular storm. So that is a look at those type of weather conditions across the nation. Looking for questions from you and you. Let's see what we got. Watching from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Hey, Brazen, it's good to see you on board as well. And your area looks to be in the bullseye. So somewhere between Sioux Falls, South Dakota and Fargo is where I think things will go. Let me show you the graphic that I showed to my viewers, my loyal viewers here in the Northern Plains. I hope you become one of them, by the way. Thanks so much, Brazen Beast, for joining me here. Rebecca says, what about Can-Do? Can-Do is right next to kissing the international border with Canada. Less impacts, lower impacts along the international border with this potential blizzard. Now, I say potential blizzard because there's going to be wind and there's going to be zero visibility in open country, but will it meet blizzard criteria for long-lived number of hours required for it to be a blizzard warning? Stay tuned. I think yes. I think we could have that threat. Now, here's the graphic I used, and it's in an effort to do a clear line of communication. So let me know in the comments. Drop it like a 2-ton heavy thing. Drop those comments right now. Let me know if you like this way or this approach to communicating snow. Because even as meteorologists, me being one, communicating the weather is difficult. See if this helps. Now, this doesn't say, oh, we're going to have a probability of this, that, or the other thing. It's kind of highlighting what we've been seeing with this particular storm for the last couple of days. Now, the yellow line here and the yellow line here, in between those yellow lines is where we'll have the greatest chance for impactful snow. And that's where the winter storm warnings are in effect. We'll go over those briefly later. This line here where you see the dark reds and the peach colors down here going through South Dakota is here. North Dakota's here. There's Fargo. There's Bismarck, North Dakota. There's Montana way over there by the bullseye. And here's Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Air travel impacted by this at many airports, including Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks, Central Plains, even into parts of, Nebraska and most of South Dakota, all the way out to Rapid City. This bullseye line sneaks up into northern Minnesota. You see these arrows I drew here? Now, this bullseye, many times, models, even the day before, can shift this band of heavier snow easily by 50 miles. So it's kind of like a cone of uncertainty, if you will, when we're talking about hurricane forecasting. This storm system isn't tomorrow. It's Monday, and it's Tuesday. It's a 3-day event. So our models definitely have a harder time calculating what's going to happen on the farther end out on this. So we're leaving this bullseye line here is where it looks like the best chance for the very heavy snow is, and that line could shift easily 50 miles either way as we go through the next 24 hours, and even more than that as we go out 48 hours. Clear as mud? All right. And I've seen the graphics. They hit me in the heart, but not too hard, because you know what? It's part of the business of being a meteorologist. Communicating is everything. These numbers mean zilch. Don't lock onto a number here in Fargo and say, yep, 12.9. That's Hutch's forecast for the Fargo area. No. This is a range forecast, and this, because there's this uncertainty with the track, there will be wide-ranging snowfall amounts that fall from storms like this. So we've taken a look at the snow in the north. Where would there be a chance for a blizzard? Anywhere along the track of this heavy snow, particularly eastern South Dakota, potentially eastern parts of southern North Dakota, and possibly, quite possibly, into parts of Minnesota. Minnesota has a lot more trees to slow down that wind and snow. Cool. Is the wind going to be strong? Oh, this is going to be some strong wind out here. We're talking 30 to 40 miles per hour. That's a lot of miles per hour. And then you put in snow with that, then you won't be able to see where you're driving. Travel will be impossible in places. I do think there'll be road closures. There'll be cancellations for both events and possible flight delays and cancellations as well. So stay on top of that. Now, let's take a look at some of the impacts with severe weather in the southern plains as well. This storm system not just impacting our area, but impacting the southern plains. To do that, we're going to pull up a model. We're going to focus on well, our weather in the next 24 hours. To do that, let me see if I can pull up, let's go here. I'll just adjust it as we go. If you can have some patience with me, I would say I appreciate you. All right, let's take a look at the USA view here. Now, we already covered this. The risk for strong to severe storms really begins tomorrow as we go through the Central Plains. And then look at this, moving into parts of the southern Gulf Coast states with the orange and red thunderstorm activity that you see down here. And that's Monday and into Tuesday. So there is a risk of that. Carol says, hey, Hutch, St. Joseph, Minnesota, loving it, hibernating until Tuesday. Yeah, battening down the hatches we are. What do you think for these severe weather risks as we go through? So that is a look at that. Let's go to a southern Plains view here on the regional map, and I will pop up the timing on this. And for the next 48 hours, let's pull up a more high resolution model. I'm going to do the rapid refresh high resolution model as we try to find the most recent one that gets me out in time. All right, now here's the future radar. Southern Plains, boom. And you know what? This does not include Kansas City, and I know there's a risk of severe weather there. We'll have to move northward. So it's showing Texas on the south side of the system could see impacts beginning as we go through Sunday night. So there's a risk of strong to severe thunderstorms with all modes possible, particularly hail and gusty straight line winds. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. That's Sunday night. Now, let's take a look at another regional view that includes Missouri as we look at Kansas as well. You're going to see snow on the top side of this map and freezing rain in Nebraska. And here we go. Sunday, heading into the afternoon, shazam, boom, a chance for some stout thunderstorm development from Kansas, Topeka, all the way through, Manhattan, Kansas, pushing in through St. Joseph, Missouri, not Minnesota, as we head into the hours of Sunday evening and Sunday night. It will be replaced with a batch and whack of wind and snow and white and wintry wonderland as you go through parts of the western reaches of Nebraska, near the Panhandle, western parts of Kansas, and eastern Colorado, particularly southeastern Colorado, while that low pressure system moves on. So that's a look at that. Here is a look at the radar, and what I will load up on this national view of the radar is what the Storm Prediction Center has for outlines, because I do believe my friends at the Storm Prediction Center do a fantastic job of highlighting where the risk is going to be and where the risks are greatest. So here you have it, that little peanut bean you see there in the nation's midsection. That is the area for Sunday thunderstorm risk. The green, that's a level 1 on a 5-level scale. That's Dallas, that's Central Texas. But you get up into Wichita, closer to the low pressure system, there's going to be more shear or spin or turning in the atmosphere, and we could have more robust thunderstorms capable of larger hail. And those thunderstorms, Dodge City to Wichita, Hays, Kansas, as well as Salina can expect, well, the potential a little greater for some severe storms. This is Sunday. Here is what the wordage or verbiage is on the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. A slight risk is a level 2 on a 5-level scale. That means numerous strong to severe thunderstorms with large hail, damaging winds. And you can read through the synopsis here, but I will basically synopsize it for you. In these areas, we will have hail being the primary severe weather risk. A lot of subsidence or up-moving air that will support large hail diameter, upwards of 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter. We could even see a tornado risk. The risk isn't zero, but it's not huge. There will be some spin the closer to the low and warm front that you get. We'll keep our eyes on that. But the Central Plains, including areas in yellow in Kansas, will have the greatest risk of that. Now, the risk of severe weather will shift a bit as we head from Sunday and into Monday. So let's take you into Monday, and take a quick look at where the synopsis is. Yep. Just where the model was showing. Louisiana, the hills of Texas off to the east of Houston. And as we go into Jackson, Mississippi and the Mississippi Delta, and it gets right up and nestles next to you, relatives in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So these areas have a risk of seeing severe weather, and the risks do include, as we go into the day on your Monday. So we're talking Monday here. Let me get to the risks. Thunderstorms, cold front potential is going to be there for all modes of severe weather, and nocturnal tornadoes appear to be a possibility in northern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, as low-level spin in the atmosphere looks to be there. Confidence is increasing that there could be some supercells that develop on that line or squall line. That means we'll have on a squall line the risk for some very strong straight line winds and hail as well. Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, and as well as Shreveport, Lake Charles, and Alexandria, all in the risk area there. In Texas, we're talking about Lufkin and Beaumont. You folks can prepare for some rough weather potentially as we head into the day on Monday. That is a look at everything. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. It is a pleasure to visit with you. We have covered the snow that's working its way right now through the Northeast. If you missed any part of this, go ahead and check out the entire video. The heaviest snow north of Portland and Augusta as we look into Maine, heading in towards Bangor, and we're expecting anywhere from 8 inches to a foot of wet, heavy snow, and that's where we started. No snow yet falling, but as we look at warnings from the National Weather Service, I'll go ahead and put this up for you. We have winter storm warnings throughout most of the northern plains, including Montana, including North Dakota, including South Dakota, including most of Minnesota, for a storm system that will begin as we begin the day on Sunday. So there you have it. Winter storm warning means all of the ingredients are there for winter storm. We could have some blizzard potential with this system, or at least whiteout. We have wind advisories. You're asking about wind out ahead of the storm. Very strong south winds will be replaced by very strong northwesterly ones, and that's increased the fire danger in parts of western Oklahoma and western Texas and Lubbock area as well. We have winter weather advisories for the mountains of central Colorado, northern Colorado, southern Colorado. Winter weather advisories out in parts of western Montana, and winter storm warnings for the mountains outside of Truckee, Reno, and even the mountains outside of Los Angeles, where we take a look right outside of Los Angeles itself. We can read the winter storm warning there. 12 to 18 inches of snow at 7,500 feet or more. That's good snow and weather right there. So that's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I love the likes. Please consider subscribing. Hit the little dingle bell, and it will let you know when Hutch is going live with an update. It's a pleasure to visit with you. I hope you garnered some information from this, and hope to see you back here